Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship Season Finale of the 2021 Season 2 here at Phillip Island Circuit. I'm Austin. I'm joined by Alessandro Dalladone with Marco Barbadera in the broadcasting booth, and you're here live watching Apex Racing TV.
What an interesting racetrack, Austin, to cap the season off. We don't see Phillip Island Circuit very often, the schedules in any official series, and I think it's really interesting because there's a lot of different corners, hairpins, fast sweeping corners. There are plenty of passes opportunities if you know where to put the car. It's a very interesting track, and we're seeing already in qualifying a lot of very good drivers up front setting very good lap times.
A lot of good drivers up front indeed. Top times of 15.14 currently held by Robert Tarleton. Phillip Island, we usually see this being used in lower formulas, but one of the top formulas get here, Formula 3.5 World Championships, and that IR01, which I gotta say has pretty much gained a little bit of a boost for participation in the upcoming season, hopefully. But yeah, the Formula 3.5 cars around here, it's a very interesting track, and let me tell you, it's going to be very fun to see how these guys go around here. I know it's a little bit controversial with it being on the schedule, but hey, it's always good to end the season with a little bit of a smile.
Absolutely, and this track has nothing less the iconic tracks we've been to all season long, and it's a very scenic track too, so definitely a very good one for a season finale.
Indeed, good all the way around, as we're currently looking at Paul Ilbrink right now, currently sitting in 12th place. And one interesting thing I love about Phillip Island is it's so wide open, especially in these cars. You don't need to slow down only for about 2-3 corners you really need to apply the brakes on. Then other than that, it's all about throttle control.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems quite easy, but it's absolutely not with any car from GTs, but even here with these very fast cars with a lot of downforce. Yes, through this opening session you need to be very careful, especially with cold tires. I've seen some drivers struggling. As soon as we entered the session, also here in qualifying, I saw Shirakawa going off in turn 1. I haven't done any single lap here so far this week, Austin, but I know that it's gonna be very treacherous.
It is very treacherous, especially if you got DRS open or down, as it's physically called. I know we say DRS open because we're so used to Formula 1 racing, but you know, 3.5, that slot goes down just like it does in real life when they had it. And you know, I'm gonna be honest, I did not know much about how the DRS worked in real life, but no, it actually does that in real life. It just stalls out the rear wing and it basically becomes an F duct on steroids.
That's definitely very decent insight. I have no clue, and I still have no clue, but it's okay. So
thank you, iRacing Forums. Which, speaking of the iRacing Forums, coming next week, the Forum mobile app is finally going to be launched. Just took them 12 years.
Yeah, and let's see if they launch it correctly though.
Come on, Alessandro. But yeah, the amount of downforce these guys have of going through these corners, you can have DRS open for a long part of the track. You see Tom Wedgwood, he's been using DRS for almost every time he puts his foot down, as he especially comes out of this section. DRS goes down again. Actually had a little bit of a blip there, but through the S section, no downforce needed right here, going as fast as possible. Tom Wedgwood putting it all on the line for the final qualifying of the season, hard onto the brakes, going down onto the hill. A little bit of a lockup heading into this hairpin, then coming out. It's one giant long left-hander to go. DRS open once more. Tom Wedgwood currently sitting in 11th, 15.144 across that time. So let's ride on board. He comes across the line. Tom Wedgwood does not improve as that was actually his, he already put in 2 laps. So, he's just showing off right there. Your final grid of the season. It's Robert Tarleton starting up on pole, followed by Ben Fuller, who's quotes by our defending champion, James Pinsker. Our champion, Ben Fuller. If he does not finish the race, Ben, and Robert wins, possibility that Robert will become the championship, but Ben will have to not finish 1 lap, apparently. So, if he finishes the lap, probably champion. But Samborski is in 3rd, followed by Henrique, Shane Russell, Benjamin Barreto, Paul Ilbert, Philippe Preschnader, Dennis Folkheim, Carlos DeVitro, Thomas Wedgwood, Dennis Corner, James Byrne, Jamie Byrne, Yuki Shirakawa, James J. Penis here, and Phil Reed in 17th.
As we see some insights also in the chat from Ben Fuller, if GRT is correct, winner gets 270 points, so might not be enough for Rob.
It's always fun with our championship predictions. Remember last season where I unfortunately was not here, but because somebody had to get their mouth sewn shut for once.
Yeah, whenever you're mixing.
It took us about 5 minutes to get that party fixed, and a few incidents of F5 on the iRacing page, but no, this season's looking a little bit more confined. If everyone finishes this race, which 20 seconds till the final lights out of season 2 here in 2021 at Phillip Island for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. Everyone is getting ready and set, and I see our 5 red lights are coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's go racing one last time for the Formula 3.5 Championship. And it's a great start by Robert Tarleton, who immediately covers off Ben Fuller. Sam Borsi is sitting in 3rd as they all head into that kick too wide in the battle for 4th place. So everyone stays on track very hard. Tarleton swings onto the inside, defending from Fuller. As here comes Sam Borski over once more. Tarleton covers off the nose of Ben Fuller. Ben Fuller right on the gearbox of Robert Tarleton. Tarleton defending onto the inside once more as they're heading into the hairpin. Fuller's got a run. He's ahead by a nose. Very late on the brakes goes Fuller. Sweet around the outside. Ben Fuller takes the lead.
Yeah, very well done pass by Ben Fuller, taking the lead after Tarleton got a very good start behind everyone keeping their positions, not much changing apart from the start and turn 1. We got a few drivers moving up, like Preschneider up in 5th place. So very good start for him, as we have a trouble in the back with Byrne and Pinsker.
James Pinsker and chaos at the back of the field. That is Russell pointed backwards at the hairpin.
That's a very big trouble spot. We put tires, everyone bunch up. It's very easy to make a mistake as Ben Fuller is trying to break away from Tarleton. You can see here the gap and DRS being used. Trying to open the gap immediately, but it's gonna be very hard, as also Wedgwood is trying to make a pass on Dennis Furkheim in 7th place. Dennis always around the top 5 in the last few races, so doing very good in this latter part of the season.
Wedgwood looking on Furkheim right here. He's looking down the inside. He's right beside a big set into the brake zone. Looks like Dennis actually let Tom by right there with how early it was. Let's take a replay here of what happened with James J. Pinsker. And that's a brake check right there. Nobody was expecting Jamie Byrne to break down right there. And some very choice words being said over the radio by James, which, very understandable words too, but certainly something you don't want to call home about.
But unfortunately for James, that was due to his starting position, starting all the way back in 16th place, 16th. Not setting a lap time in qualifying, put him where he was, and unfortunately costed him the race, as Fuller sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:16 flat, 16.8 for Tarleton, gap well above 1 second now, so let's keep an eye on you, Austin, because yes, the race is 28 laps long, but lap 3 the gap is already sizable.
We've seen this from Ben Fuller. He's able to just pull out the gaps extremely fast into the race by his strategy using DRS. Big set right here, but a little bit of loose on the brakes and almost chaos with Jason Enrique heading into that hairpin. Got into the grass a little bit, saw the car wiggle, and it was a little bit of a front right lockup like Stefan Wilson at the Indy 500, but thankfully he did save it. Let's watch this brake move again as he turns in. Big loss of the back end right there.
He did good anyway, Enrique, to keep the car on the curb and avoid any contact as we look towards the midfield with the fielder in. Tried to make his way through the field. He started last, and these were the two drivers that did not set a valid lap time in qualifying. He has always shown plenty of speed, and remember, he's on a controller, which is always very, very remarkable.
Phil Reed is a very remarkable driver. I know he's competes all over iRacing. I know he's also competing against me, I believe, next week in the Max Bant series, which, you know, that's accursed.
Always that's nice events going on there. Gonna be wide, I know for sure.
Oh, look at Phil Reed right on the gearbox behind James Burton and Yuki Shirakawa. Shirakawa going deep on the outside. Reed is just going to be watching this Shirakawa. Well, he's just held out there to dry as James Burton takes that position, and now Phil Reed looking on the hunt right now. But yeah, when you're behind two cars who are really just giving it their all, you're going to be behind a lot of dirty air right here, so he needs to keep his head clear. And he's not the only one back there. There's Dennis Cornu behind him as well. But out front, we got our battle for second between Robert Tarleton and Edward Samborski. And these two have been pretty much equal with each other. DRS for Robert Tarleton down that straight, trying to build a gap to Samborski and try to close down on that 2-second lead that Ben Fuller is able to pull out within 5 laps.
They're now trying to make a move on Shirakawa. Very close.
Tight. Really tight between Reed and Shirakawa on the exit right there. But they kept it clean, and I love watching these two race at it.
Absolutely, very.
Reed looking on the inside again. Shirakawa once again on the outside. Reed slings it through that hairpin. And, oh, he's using all the track. Got off the track just a little bit, and full times in the wall.
Let's see if he can come back on track and the car is fine. Looks like it seems like to be a speed, but let's see if he got some edge.
Yep, wheel-to-wheel contact right there. A little bit of a touch right there, and he did avoid the wall. So I won't be expecting any damage on that car. It was wheel-to-wheel, so it wasn't body car park gets car park. So it was the slightest touch, and unfortunately that just sends him off. And that's how sensitive these cars are.
Even though they are very durable.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you hit something or someone, most of the times you can get away with it. Thankfully, still on the old damage model on that regard, although obviously aesthetically it's much better than the new one if it's working.
Yes. As we ride on board of Samborski behind Robert Tarleton, and Robert Tarleton has pulled a little bit of a gain on Ben Fuller. That gap has dropped down by a 10th.
It's a really hard task for Tarleton to close the gap on Ben Fuller now. But we've seen already Robert slowly building up speed during the race and close the gap on Ben in previous events, so don't count him out. And obviously also the DRSs are very, very important. So if he hasn't used them all at the start of the race, he might then come back towards the end.
Yeah, that lap was 4/10 faster for Tarleton than Fuller. I know Tarleton has more longevity-wise pace than Ben Fuller's short-time pace. A quote by Kevin Magnussen is, "This guy's unbeatable over one lap, but over the race, it's mine."
You read it.
Then that's by Kevin Magnussen, Formula F1 driver. So, and Phillip down the inside. Unfortunate contact mid-quarter. Yuki Shirakawa stuck in the roadblock right there. Both of them getting out of the way, and that's a free position. 2 positions right there. Almost contact for Dennis Cornu as he's trying to sneak up into the inside and into the top 10.
Really unfortunate. We will have a replay in a bit, but now is Cornu trying to defend his position. Let's see here. Reed making die on the inside.
Oh, that might have. Oh, that is too tough to call.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a racing issue in my opinion. Both drivers trying to go for the same spot. Slow speed crash, to be fair, so no one should be having much damage. But
Shirakawa's got a great view of this. See Reed going out to the inside. Shirakawa is seen out on the inside. Oh, Reed gets off the apex and comes out wide.
So very good driving.
That's just pushing hard, but those two have had Phil Reed and Shirakawa. They've had a little bit of a history, but yeah, I remember Imola race. That was a very interesting incident.
Quite a few mistakes for everyone at Imola
this season has been very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of new drivers, a lot of battles between drivers carrying over the whole season.
And a lot of new fans in the Apex Racing TV chat that always come here for these SLF races, especially to support their drivers of their country or drivers that they are massive fans of.
Yeah, they're closing the gap in the meantime, other 2 tenths. 16.5 for Tartan, almost 16.8 for Fuller, so almost 3 tenths actually. 1.4 now is the gap. So the race is not over, Austin. Then open the gap, but the gap is slowly coming down, and we are not even halfway.
Yeah, Fuller might have overheated his tires during one of those turns by his pushing. Might have spun it up through the hairpin, and big send from James Byrne on Cornu right here, back for that 10th place spot. But Cornu's back on the inside right here, still side by side through the following corner. But ooh, this is going to be tight off the exit. Byrne putting the power down as they go through the S's. He's just got a little bit of advantage right there, but they're still, well, they were side by side, but Cornu's going to drop back and wait for his opportunity on that straight. It's kind of like the Indianapolis 500 on this track with Formula cars. You're going to want to be in second place until you get into this draft, and then on that last lap, you go.
But can you make it to the line for the other driver?
Yeah, it's always about how close can it be and when you can make that move. There's the line underneath that right before the secondary Melbourne sign. But yeah, it's going to be a very hard fought thing. I know you can do it in a Skippy because I've done it, which was the scariest finish of my life.
Yeah, definitely different power ratio between Skippies and Formula 3.5, so I think it's gonna be a bit more complicated, but you never know. We've seen everything in this championship so far this season, so
we certainly have. It's always going to be very interesting to see what these drivers can do, especially around one lap pace. But yeah, have you looked at next season's schedule yet?
Absolutely not. I'm just looking for week 13 to get a week of rest, and then I'll have a look later on. But I'm sure that we will have some very nice tracks. Hopefully we'll have some more drivers joining us and be ready to have another thrilling season. Hopefully someone will be able to
challenge Ben Fuller.
Yeah, because it's been quite a very
one-sided championship, unlike last season.
One-sided championship, yes, absolutely. Last season was very thrilling at the end.
Look at this. Cornu, Byrne, still side by side, almost rubbing wheels right there. As Dennis Cornu comes around the outside, sinking his way up to the inside, but here comes Byrne on the inside, Cornu on the outside, very tight through the hairpin. And now Cornu, once again, this is looking like last lap. But Byrne just gets such a good run on that cambered part of the outside line that he sets himself up for the inside of the S's, especially the tighter of the two S's. But now around the outside, here comes Dennis Cornu up the inside. But now Byrne's got the inside line as they head into the hairpin. Big set into the braking zone by James Byrne. Byrne takes back the lead for 10th place.
Speaking of the lead here for second place.
Well, it's just an attempt at a pass. Tarleton cut off the nose of Sam Borski, and Sam Borski doesn't even look like he wants to make that pass right there. I feel like Sam Borski is just waiting for this. Oh no, is that that's Shane Russell off again.
Yeah, Russell off again. The second off of the day for Russell in 15th place, as we also see in a pass for 4th place between Barato and Pre Schneider. The two guys have been going at it for a long time, as Cornu and Byrne still side by side. I'm very happy to see this. Is Furkheim, who is definitely to get the top 10.
This is not a replay. This has been the exact same positions and exact same moves for the past 3 laps. This is not deja vu. This is actually happening on track. They're just very predictable right here, but there goes Cornu. Got a great run through that hairpin and just cut off the nose of James Byrne, saying, this is my spot. I'm going to go try the inside now and enjoy the dirty air.
Yeah, great battle here for 10th place with Furkan joining back, and also Shirakawa in 13th place, cruising rapidly.
Samborski! I feel like Sam Borski's getting a little bit heated. Tarleton puts a big slide and he's off in the gravel.
Look how many positions he'll be losing. Back to 6th.
6. Well, there's a saying we said in every race so far this season. Tarleton was pushing really hard, got onto the curbs, and just off the exit, a little too much mustard. And he's off in the gravel.
Yeah, and this is only due to Samborski applying that pressure on Tarleton. Even though maybe he didn't really want to go by him, but he made him make a mistake. And now his second place looks very, very solid. 1.5 is the gap on Barato, who inherits the last step of the podium right now, but it's still a long race. We have a lot of drivers very, very close here from 3rd to Ilbrink, actually in 7th place, so anyone still can grab that podium spot.
Yeah, anyone can still get into those podium spots, but you know, anyone is a good speculation, but it's going to be who that we're really looking for. As we got Wedgwood heading it up the inside. Big sender Rooney into that hairpin right here. And he's made that move so well. What a move by Tom Wedgwood. And back to the Byrne and Cornu fight. In exactly the same position. Come on, guys. You know, you can try a different spot every once in a while.
I think I'm still blocked behind them.
I feel like he's not even trying to make this. He's just enjoying this fight.
Yeah, for sure. But I bet if he has the chance, he will go for it because he's definitely having more pace than these drivers. He showed it in qualifying, but it's just blocked. There's nowhere to go. These guys are fighting for the past 5-6 laps, and now we are also into the second half of this event.
Yeah, one half of this race down. One more to go for the final race of the season. It's all about pride. And ending the season off with a bang for these drivers down here. They're making it to the top SOF race of all of iRacing as here comes James Byrne down the inside in this 4.9 SOF field heading into turn 1. Byrne racing it into that kick, but here comes Dennis back down to the inside, and JV Byrne's been on the outside of every turn much more than Dennis Corner. His tires must be screaming for help, and here comes Dennis Fulkheim. Fulkheim trying to look down to the inside there. He's blocked by Corner. Corner's sending it down to the inside, and now he's up onto the inside for the first time, and James stuck onto that slick stuff on the outside, but now he's up onto the inside, and he's been getting some good runs from Corner right here, but he gets a big swindle of understeer coming out of that corner, and that's allowed Corner to jump on his tail right here. And just look at how tight these three cars are. You can barely fit a piece of paper between them if you're looking at the track map. But James Byrne able to swing his car back into the lead, back into 10th place. As we look at our dancing dots of doom, and we got a good fight from 10th all the way down to 13th. But look at this pack we got from 2nd all the way to 7th.
It's one of the closest races we had so far this season. The fight for 10th position keeps on going, and they never. Yeah, absolutely, it's incredible. 7 straight laps or 6 straight laps fighting.
We're losing count. I think it's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it Tuesday? I'm not sure.
But just
you know what?
Going,
if we see these two fighting, it's definitely going to be the next season.
Yeah,
and I won't be surprised if Corner versus Byrne just becomes a constant thing for the next 12 weeks.
But it's remarkable how.
Oh, Barreto. Benjamin Barreto's off the track. Oh, and that's near the final corner. What's ahead of Tom Wedgwood here. Big lockup heading into the hairpin. Heat up those tires, and yep, too much mustard indeed. Heated up those rear tires and going around, well, putting the power down. Around he went into the gravel. Kind of like what we saw with Robert Tarleton with that curb. And there's a bad bump over there, too. Big wiggle for Paul Ilbring as he sits in 5th place.
Yeah, absolutely. You like to see that all these drivers doing a fabulous job up here, doing mega laps every time. Just a slight mistake, a very slight lockup, and also here you can see Tarleton just tipping the right side tire in the gravel on entry and almost losing the car. You can't afford to make a single mistake. Thankfully here we don't have much asphalt for the drivers. If you make a mistake, it's just grass and fields and gravel. That's why we love. Yeah, that's why we love this track.
I know some drivers don't like it because, you know, if you're forced off the track, you are forced off the track, and it could lead to some controversial moments. But, you know, it's better than a concrete city like Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, absolutely. And thankfully here we don't even have 90-degree corners, so this is why we all love this track. It has a very nice flow. You always have the chance to make something happen, even though maybe the passing zones are not as much as other tracks. We can force drivers to make mistakes.
Indeed, and it's one of those tracks that is always fun and flowing. Just the underside is not a lot of series race here, so not a lot of people own this track.
We definitely seen it today with only 2 splits in this very important time slot, but still the top drivers are there. SOF is very, very high as usual. So we are really happy to come to a conclusion at this racetrack with such a beautiful race, because even though, as we probably already predicted, Austin, Ben Fuller is just miles away from everyone else. From second to sixth place, everyone is still in the hunt for a podium, and it's really, really nice. We are set for a very good last 10 laps of this season.
Yeah, Tom Wedgwood versus Sam Borski. Tom, he's had a very up and down season. A few good finishes, a few bad finishes, a team split in the middle of the season. And he's been driving independently for a while, and I think he's joined Track Racer now. Equipment changes and everything is he's going around the outside of Ever Samborski through the hairpin, and these two have been absolutely on fire through the season. But Tom Wedgwood has seen a big spike of improvement throughout the season. He's just been getting faster and faster and faster, and I gotta say, next season is looking up for Tom Wedgwood.
Absolutely, you love to see these drivers improving every time and getting better and better. And if this season was a revelation season for Wedgwood, next season could definitely be the chance of getting a top 5 finish in the standings. So a lot of drivers will have to prove themselves with the big boys in the season. Others might even think about contending for a top 3, or even try to be in the hunt for the title. Everyone can at least try to beat Ben Fuller. Beating him is a whole different story.
Racing with him, one story. Beating him, that's a completely different story for a completely different time. But I do know that the Precision Racing League will be racing in the Formula 3.5 cars all of next season following the official schedule, as Wedgwood gets a big send on Samborski trying to hold around the outside of that foul corner, but he gets a big hit and a wheel spin, and he actually made contact with Everett Samborski.
So much master for Wedgwood there on the exit, trying to get the position from the outside and have the privilege line on the inside on the left-hander. Thankfully, this car is built as a tank, and everyone has the chance to keep on going. Very, very fortunate.
But yeah, as I was saying, the Precision Racing League is moving up to the Formula 3.5 series, so we might see a lot of new faces next season, and all those guys are going to be very competitive throughout all of the splits, so we might be seeing a big renaissance, and as we get a big run for Tom Wedgwood around the outside. It's a drag race here at Phillip Island. Wedgwood and Samborski side by side through the kink, and ooh, very loose and almost contact again twice as Wedgwood is holding down that inside line. Samborski trying to hold it around the outside. They're almost touching wheels right there. Leave some room for Jesus, you two.
That was so close. These guys are doing an amazing job and racing really, really hard, as Wedgwood is put in the same place as Samborski this time, as a little wiggle exiting the hairpin, and gives up a second place to Tom Wedgwood, but behind them is Presnyder. So if these two keep fighting really, really hard, I think Presnyder might be the one getting both at this time. Lock up
for Tom. Here comes Ed, and oh, Tom's hit that bump off the exit and somehow saved that. And now Ed is in the contention. Here comes Ed in that draft around the outside.
Long way around. I think Wedgwood will have the position there. He managed to shut the door to maintain P2, as we are lap 22 of 28. Austin, let's just give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Virtual Racing School, to improve your on-track performance with the 50 data packs, road, oval, and obviously also the Formula Renault 3.5. If you want to get started, it's a very nice tool with setups, track guides, data analysis software, one-on-one coaching, everything very come in handy on the website. So make sure to Google in Virtual Racing School VRS. It's a very good base, but also if you're already proficient or trying to get a better in whatever you're doing in iRacing, you can always find some extra tenths there.
And even also with VRS, it's integrated with Apex Racing Academy. Drivers using Apex Racing Academy get all the positive effects of VRS as they're both integrated with each other, but also personalized coaching with Apex Racing Academy coaches, and those include pro drivers in the Apex Racing team and a few in all the disciplines, including our stellar lineup of rallycross coaches.
Snyder is trying to make a pass on some post, but it's looking very difficult.
And I know those rallycross programs work out well because one of our commentators was able to get onto the Apex Racing Academy All-Star team for that recent iRacing All-Star Rallycross special on the iRacing channel. Congrats to Dane Bard, even though he didn't represent us well in the race, he still made it to something that I will never be able to do. So we're almost 3 wide heading into the airpin. Carlos DeCero breaks up that 2-car fight for 10th. Well, not really breaks up because they're still going on that fight for 10th, but he somehow made it through that minefield.
Yeah, absolutely great racing. These guys, it's actually interesting because Byrne and Cornu were fighting for 10th place for a long time already in this race, and they managed to keep the lap times up and catch Carlos DeCero in 9th place. So I was surprised to see them all together now. In front of them, 15 seconds ahead is Barato. After the mistakes, he's still sitting in 8th place. Enrique 7th. We haven't seen much from him as DeCero gets passed easily by James Byrne, and Byrne moves up into 9th place.
Apologies to our co-commentator Dane, as I completely got his first name wrong.
Yeah, but you know,
especially
maybe
the last name.
Yes.
I think it's like a Marco thing where it takes me 6 months to learn it, but I've never done a much commentary with him, so I'll never learn it.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for iRacing to let us know that he used some cheat codes to get some grips in that trials, because come on, Dane.
Come on.
I know you did.
Nah, I know he got there by using Apex Racing Academy and our stellar setups and coaching. And almost an incident there on the straight between Tom Wedgwood and Sam Borski as they switched next. Switched by on track, almost swapping paint jobs right there. And Sam Borski getting extremely wide, almost into the grass.
Yeah, this racing really hard. Look who's going into the fields there. Starton again, same spot. Having his trouble spot here, Austin, because he seems to be very free actually in that corner, losing grip and having to wash up wide to avoid the spinning. Let's catch the replay. Understeer. This time. Just didn't turn enough. Car was wide. Tartan, unfortunately for him, not the race he wanted to cap the season off. Oh boy. Three laps left, Austin.
Yeah, 3 laps to go. Sam Borski on a great run, looking onto the inside on Wedgwood. Wedgwood and Sam Borski. And here comes Phillip Preschnader. He's trying for an outside attempt for that podium. as Wedgwood gets a good run up onto the inside. But here comes Samborski challenging on the inside. They almost make contact again. His wheel touching wheels right there. Samborski on the inside, Wedgwood on the outside. It is a rough and tumble battle here for second place. With 2 laps to go, Samborski on the outside, Wedgwood with a big sand riding up onto those curbs, up onto the apex. And now Samborski's got the inside line heading into this hairpin. Wedgwood forced to get behind Samborski now, but he gets a great run, almost getting into the gearbox of Samborski.
Great fight between these 2 guys. Racing really hard and not giving up anywhere. How does Tom Wedgwood do this? Around the outside, getting the inside at the hairpin, almost colliding again, locking up. Be careful there because with these worn tires now, it's gonna be really hard to put the power down, but he will have a good run now on the main straight. Let's see if he can clear Samborski and if Samborski will use DRS.
Samborski is using DRS. Wedgwood is not. He is just staying behind him and waiting for that moment. Here comes Wedgwood looking up to the inside. And, ooh, a little bit of a mid-corner wiggle for Tom Wedgwood. This fight has joined with Paul Ilberg up high, but Wedgwood falls off pace. And now Wedgwood is being the roadblock, and here comes Pressionator looking off to the inside. Paul Ilberg is just watching this as Pressionator sends it up the outside. Tom Wedgwood up onto the inside. Lock up for Paul Ilberg. There's contact. Ilberg's got a great run, and the luck is in Ilberg's side as he's up into third place now. And Wedgwood's around to make contact with Pressionator. Oh no!
Really unfortunate. I saw that Tom was pushing really hard and he was locking up the tires. Unfortunately, this tire model is
you saw the contact off the exit right there, and then just a spin. The tires just gave up right there. Pressionator, unfortunately, nowhere for him to go into the side of Tom Wedgwood, and that is going to be the end of their race and the end of their season, as they, well, have season 3 to look forward to after that. And that is such a big hit right there for Tom Wedgwood.
Yeah, both drivers are continuing with a lot of damage, but it's white flag as Enrique now is trying to defend from Tarton. Tarton managed to pass Enrique earlier for what was 6th place, now 4th place. And now Enrique back in front. Let's see if we'll be able to get his very good 4th place. Also Barato there in the back trying to join the party. Would be a very good result for him to get back in the top 5 after the mistake earlier on. Here is our race leader. Not much TV time as usual for him.
Yeah, not much TV time for Ben Fuller, but I can say one thing. One thing for Ben Fuller is he can have all the champagne and TV time he wants now, as Ben Fuller is your Le Champion for the Formula 3.5 Championship.
And to the line here for 5th place between Barato and Tarton. Tarton gets, I think, position as Wedgwood caps his season
he's attempting rallycross. He's attempting rallycross right here.
Yeah. Very unfortunate. Car is very broken. He will have to let everyone go, I guess, here. Has no downforce. And Shirakawa might even... Oh no.
Tom and Shirakawa make contact in the final corner. And Tom sends his apologies right there over the radio. And he's going to limp his car across the line. And that is a very unfortunate incident between those two.
The mechanics of the team won't be really happy since they will have to do a lot of work on the car for this race to fix it.
Shirakawa's having a great race, and well, you see Tom just holding on that outside line. Shirakawa is coming up, and I believe Tom switches down to the inside line, so everyone's going on to the outside, but then Tom just gets a little bit of an understeer right into Yuki. And that is just so unfortunate.
It was definitely. Well, definitely season ending up in a spectacular manner as we have our donuts time with our championship winner Ben Fuller.
Le Champion, Ben Fuller, 2021 Season 2 Formula 3.5 champion. And Ben has a entire season's hard work paying off for him. So he takes the win and the championship ahead of Everett Samborski, Paul Ilbrink in third, who had good luck today and no cursing at all as he finishes on the podium, I believe for the first time this season?
I don't know. I think it might.
It's been forever since we've seen Paul on since we've seen Paul in the podium in the post-race on the SLF broadcast. And he's followed by Jason Enrique, Robert Tarleton, Benjamin Bertel, Fleet Plashinator, Carlos Dericho, Dennis Folkheim, James Byrne, Dennis Corners, Shane Russell, Yuki Shirakawa, Sean Wedgwood, Jamie Byrne, Phil Reed, and James J. Pincer in 17th place at the end of the grid. But, you know, I think we must join somebody who has been up there throughout the entire race. Everybody, our Le Champion, Ben Fuller.
Yeah, thank you guys. I wasn't quite sure if JRT got it right there at the beginning, but I thought, you know, I don't know, did I get 270 for the win today? Was it correct? Anyways, coming into the week, I knew that Robert needed 275 or better to improve and be in the lead. And then at that point, I would need to advance my position. I felt like as long as I was going to get a top 5, top 4, if he won, I'd be able to do that, but wasn't really sure. You know, the pressure was very high. Started off all week running MDF. Really felt like that was the set to be on. Did some testing on Thursday and just found that it's not there. You know, I just couldn't overtake, and then when I got overtaken, I couldn't re-overtake. So, you know, last minute call, we went to the HDF and really didn't feel like I've had the pace all week. The consistency in the race was just not there, but fortunately I got a clean start and knew I was going to be aggressive on the first few laps there. Got a pretty easy overtake on Rob down in turn 4, and then just kind of drove to the end, really. I mean, the pace wasn't too bad, but the consistency was pretty bad, but the pressure was off, and I was just kind of enjoying the moment, enjoying the race. So, yeah, pretty happy with that.
Yeah, well, you did everything that you needed to do, taking the win and taking it with confidence. First time we saw you was last season at Long Beach, where you won that, well, pretty much with confidence. And, well, we thought you were just hopping in there every once in a while, and then you made a commitment to this league, and here you are, champion. How's it feel?
Well, I'm glad that you brought up the Long Beach race because, you know, I wanted to give a great big shout out to everybody that has competed this season. The competition has been incredible, and the series continues to grow. So I'm very thankful for that. You know, I know how much I've improved this season. So to see the improvement in myself, but the gaps behind and sometimes ahead even shrink, you know, that just shows how much work everybody else is putting in. So a big shout out to everybody else. You know, Rob, Ed, James, Paul, Benjamin, Tom. Sorry if I'm forgetting anybody else. I'm kind of blanking, but you know, everybody that comes in every single week, even the guys in the lower splits, you know, they're all working to get better, and that's so important in a series. You know, to build that community, that group that races every single week with the same skill levels, and they collectively get better as a whole. And I think that's what we're seeing. I really want to see the racing today. I know there was a big battle behind, and I'm hoping that it was a clean one. But you know, I've seen the community grow, and the skill levels are growing. So a massive shout out to everybody for that.
Well, I'm sure they're all proud of you, and it's your time in the spotlight now. So well, it's time for you to thank whoever you want right now, as you're the champion.
Oh, I mean, every single week I thank Michael Overbay, and this week I can't thank him more. You know, I struggled all week with the MDF set, felt like we were making progress, and then Thursday night through, okay, I need an HDF set. You throw them together, and I don't feel like the setup makes you quicker. The setup makes you more comfortable, and being comfortable allows you to be more quick. So I really felt that I was comfortable from the get-go with the HDF setup. Started to find some pace, and that was massive because I think if I ran an MDF set today, it would have been a lot more dangerous because I'd be the only one out there running the MDF. So yeah, big shout out to Michael.
All right. Well, Ben, you have your. Well. Oh man, I'm at a loss for words right now. So, big congrats on being the season 2 champion. We'll be seeing you in season 3, right? Or are you going after that world championship qualifier in the IRL1?
I don't know. There's positives and negatives to both. I'm really interested to see how the car is next season with the updates coming. I've got a very busy fall, so I don't really want to qualify for a series that I can't really commit to. The prize pool is pretty low, and it doesn't seem like the professionals are really that interested in it. But it'd be a great opportunity, and love to get my name out there. So if I feel like the time is right, I will definitely be over there. If I don't feel like it's correct, then I'm definitely going to be focusing on the 3.5 next season with Precision going on the Thursday nights, and then the main broadcast races over here on Saturday afternoon.
All right, Ben. Congratulations, and you enjoy the rest of your night, man.
Thank you, guys.
And joining us in the commentary box with Alessandro is our second place finisher, Edward Samborski, who is actually not here. So
I
Paul's
dare you
here.
to bring in Samborski, Austin. But we will bring in someone we are really, really glad to have back in our booth. That being Paul Ibring, third place. Was this the first podium of the season, Paul?
I think it's been a couple of years, but I don't know. I think I got a podium. Didn't I get a podium in the first race, maybe? Suzuka, I don't know.
Long time. But, you ended up the season on high. It's been quite a rough season, but in the end, today, even though you had a little curse from Austin today, you managed to overcome that.
I really do it again. Wow, so disappointed.
Yeah. We have to do something.
I did not curse you. No, don't listen to this guy.
You said something. Go check it out then.
Yeah, I said the good luck was on his side. Nah, we'll say this right after the broadcast.
But yeah, Paul, you did a great job moving up from 7th place. How was your race there?
I don't know. The setup wasn't the best, I think. Like, I felt that I was like sitting in a huge draft train, and still people were driving a little bit away, for a couple tenths every lap. But fortunately, there was a lot of fighting in front, so that made me not like completely lose the draft. So in the end, I just sat there, took advantage of everybody else dying, which probably is due to Austin again, if I have to guess. So yeah, very grateful for that, and happy to finish the podium, the season on a high with a podium.
Absolutely, that's building quite a lot of momentum towards the next season. Are you also gonna plan to jump on the IR1 since it's been announced that the World Championship is gonna take place?
Well, I haven't driven like a single lap in that car, and seeing how much I struggle to drive at the front in this car, I don't think there's much for me in that car, so I probably won't drive it, so and just stick to this one.
Well, I'm really, really glad you will be back. Anyone you would like to thank, Paul, before we let you go?
Sure, you guys for doing a broadcast every week, my teammates at Records Online, and partners and sponsors, Armor Center, Gravel Simulation, Track Racer, Joe, Real Time and Turn Racing, MOATF Podcast, Six Sideways, and Pixel Dust. And yeah, also Edwards for like doing all the organizing for the series to keep it so alive and thriving. And yeah, you guys for cursing me this whole season. Thanks.
Oh yes, for sure. Austin has been very, very proficient all season long. As now we have also a quick interview still left, I think. Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, I said Eddie was gonna come in there for you, but I think it was taking a little bit of a breather before coming into the interview room. Well, he is here now, finishing second place after a entire race-long battle with Robert Tarleton, Tom Wedgwood, and I think Paul Ilbrink at the end. Ed, that is one way to end out a championship run and end out a season for you.
Yeah, my neck is sore. I already went to the chiropractor for the week, so I guess I'll be going again. I was looking left, looking right, and that was crazy. Unfortunately for Rob, he had a little bobble getting on the power, and I thought we were both done for. I got on the brakes, but at that point in the corner, I had no grip. So I survived that, and then I had put in a good lap. Thought I was on the pace with Fuller. I was trying to find some more time. I just overdid it, and then I just got swallowed into the pack, and it was one of those catch-22s where if I go defensive, I can probably stay ahead, but then everyone catches up. So it's kind of like I don't know, man. There was no good answer in that situation.
Hey, you did everything that you needed to do. The few very tight situations right there, but that is one crazy battle you were in. Luckily for you, we do have a week off of week 13, so I think you're going to be like you said, a little bit of a visit to the chiropractor, maybe some neck stretches and neck workouts you're going to be getting through there. But hey, are you excited for season 3 coming up, or you just want to take a long breath and try just to clear your mind before next season?
That sounds really self-centered, but this has been my best campaign on iRacing in the 3.5 to date. I mean, I've actually shattered all my personal records and goals. So as much as it's fun for it to be over and it's fun to start afresh and see what's going to happen, it's bittersweet because, I mean, not to, like I said, it sounds self-centered, but I've had a lot of fortunate incidents. I mean, I only had one really bad mistake at Watkins Glen, or I would have had 2,000 points for the first time ever, period, on the service. So it's been really fun. I enjoy everyone contributing to the broadcast, and we've got some good ideas to try moving forward. We got a lot of fresh looks at things people want to try, so it's been a really, really good season, honestly.
It certainly has, and it's been very nice to see you working on the schedule and, seeing where the series is going and moving towards a more linear schedule with a track focus that, doesn't try to kill the car.
Yeah, I mean, I love diversity as much as the next person. I'd love to go to every track on the service, but it's just sometimes you have to balance people's wants and needs, and you can't take a self-centered approach. So I take the approach that I try to offer something for everyone on any given week, and I try to do what makes the most sense to everyone included. Whether you're 1K rating or 10,000, it doesn't matter. Everyone's opinion is the same. There's definitely a preferred way to keep people participating, so I tend to follow the majority of the schedule with that. And then the other 4 or 5 weeks, we try to do things that maybe not the average person would find appealing, but it's fun to keep it fresh and keep everyone talking.
Yeah, we got a few fresh races for us next season. It depending on track updates or content coming in. I know Homestead is on there, the road course, not the actual oval that I think people don't really realize, but you and I tried it out, and it's gonna be very cool to see how that series goes. But yeah, season 3 is looking good. But first, Eddie, congrats on P2. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
I'd like to thank you guys. I'd like to thank everyone that's contributed to the broadcast. We are currently $22 short. If we don't raise that by Sunday, I'm just going to contribute so we can continue to have the broadcast. So we will have a broadcast. I have not booked it yet, but we will, as long as the time slot's still there, which it should be. And I'd like to thank teammates for coming up with an amazing setup for me this week. I'd say 11 out of 12 weeks, I always run Apex. This week, I ran something a little different. I'm really happy with it, so thank you, Ted. And thank you guys for doing the broadcast, everyone who likes to watch, YouTube for having us, iRacing, everyone who's involved. And I got to leave it there. I'm taking too long.
All right, and you have yourself a good night. As I'm going to bring it to Alessandro, who has any closing thoughts.
Absolutely delighted to have been part of the commentary team for this season, and has been absolutely another thrilling season. We did not have the crazy finale, but that's only because Austin was here today. But nevertheless, looking forward to the next season. Let's see if there is gonna be any new changes, something coming up, some small tweaks to the car, something changing the balance of the drivers. For sure, it's gonna be another exciting season, and I'm looking forward to see how it's gonna play out.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship Season 2 finale here at Phillip Island Circuit. I've been joined by Alessandro Taladane with Marco Barbonera in the production booth, and I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.